You are an ass. To think that my value as a human being is contingent upon how you feel I'm treating other people and you don't find me attractive. I think you're looking for excuses. Why should how I treat the woman you love? That's just what it comes down to.
We had a lot of conversations. We talked a lot. It wasn't just Cody that I was interested in.
I defended you.
Why would I believe that in the state that you're at?
I don't, because you don't trust me.
So it's not like I could just go into a family where I thought that the wife was really cool.
Hello, Sister Wives fans! Sister Wives 2025 Season 20 is dishing massive rumors and blazing gossip, new friendships and stunning betrayals and secrets that TLC doesn't want you to hear. From the new tactics of Cody to Christine and Mary's jaw-dropping revelations, the drama is hotter than ever. If you thought you knew the Brown family story, think again. Keep it locked as we break down all the behind-the-scenes truth and juicy news you won't hear anywhere else. This is your go-to destination for it all, Sister Wives Season 20, here on TLC Soapbox with Eamon. The betrayal never happened in the space of one night. It was carved into silence, sealed with smiles, and finally fell away into memory. Imagine a wedding ring, once a symbol of forever commitment, now bubbling in a crucible of fire, gold dissolving as quickly as words once uttered. That is where it begins to fray. Not in the tantrum screaming, not in the television breakdowns, but in that slow-motion, suffocating instant when Christine discovered she was pregnant with Cody's child alone, while Cody lived with another woman. She was not left, not really. She was erased. And the worst part was, no one outside their carefully constructed bubble saw it for what it really was: betrayal on the most intimate of levels. Christine's pregnancy was to be a sacred time, a time of intimacy, softness, mutual dreaming. It was instead a subdued, sorrowful detour. Cody, distracted, remote, chasing an emotional high with Robin, left Christine to shoulder more than fleshly weight. She had to bear the weight of secrecy, of feeling she wasn't sufficient anymore. And worst of all, of knowing he never even tried to pretend that she was. This was not emotional space, it was abandonment wrapped in the fig leaf of plural marriage. What Cody called destiny was really desertion. One woman glowed in the light of his new love, and another sobbed quietly into the darkness, her worth dissolving like that ring. But this is not merely Christine's heartbreak, it's the blueprint for all the betrayals that followed, the subtle reassigning of commitment, the unequal treatment, the promotion of one wife while the others begged to be heard only to be acknowledged. Christine wasn't blind, she was faithful. Until faithfulness became a question of appearing to betray oneself. And by that time, Cody had already rewritten the rules. The betrayal did not begin with the divorce, it began when he exchanged Robin's smile for Christine's tears unshed. And once you see that, all the rest makes sense. Christine's smile was ever so soft, but during those first few occurrences, there was something more substantial behind her eyes, something that resisted the polished storyline TLC tried to sell. When she talked about being pregnant, it wasn't shared with joy or blinding optimism. It was infused with bitterness, confusion, and a form of exhaustion that didn't stem from giving birth but from having a marriage of her own. She didn't just imply that she was miserable, she said it. Straight. Unvarnished. She looked directly into the camera and admitted that she felt like she was unnecessary, that as she was building this new life, her life with Cody was fading away. This was her first broadside, not a fit, not drama, but a truth bomb delivered on a bed of quivering candor. She confessed feelings no good plural wife should ever utter: jealousy, rejection, resentment, and in confessing them, she shattered the myth of harmony the Brown family had built their entire brand on. The contrast was so stark. Mary wrung herself into knots in defense of the idea of plural unity, and Janelle resorted to cold distance and denial, but Christine did something outrageous, she told the truth. Not the PR spin, not the group soundbites scripted for her, but the naked personal reality of what it was like to be forgotten. It wasn't what she said it was, the manner in which she said it. No scripted speeches, no filtering of feelings, just a woman on camera, obviously wounded, as the man who was supposed to be her spiritual equal ricocheted from house to house like a visiting dignitary. That was the crack. Small, quiet, but seismic, the first glimpse the audience had of the underlying chasm beneath the well-groomed surface of the family. And whether they knew it or not, Christine had begun writing her farewell, secret by secret. Janelle never needed to shout. She didn't need a monologue or a meltdown. All it took was a single eye roll, barely perceptible, but devastating. It happened in a group interview, just as Cody launched into one of his now familiar rants about leadership and sacrifice. As he praised his own efforts to hold the family together, Janelle's face flickered. The corner of her mouth tightened, her brow twitched, and then there it was, a sharp, swift eye roll. Blink and you'd miss it. But fans didn't miss it. They replayed it, zoomed in, turned it into GIFs, memes, think pieces, and suddenly, Janelle, the quiet loyalist, became the family's most powerful contradiction. This wasn't just a woman annoyed with her husband, it was the first visible crack in her years of composure. For a wife who had built her identity around stoicism and self-reliance, that moment was practically a scream. She didn't dismantle Cody's authority with words, she let her eyes do it. In that instant, everything he was saying lost weight. His leadership, performative, his sacrifices, self-serving. And the woman who once followed his spiritual lead now looked at him like a man she barely recognized. What made it viral wasn't the gesture aid, was what it represented. Janelle's rebellion wasn't loud like Christine's, but it was just as potent. It suggested a private shift, an internal resignation. Fans asked themselves, if Janelle, the loyal one, is rolling her eyes, what's really going on behind closed doors? And more urgently, what will she do next? For years, Janelle's brief marriage to Mary's brother hovered in the shadows, an unspoken chapter carefully erased from the family narrative. Lasting only 6 months and ending years before she married Cody, this union is barely acknowledged, yet it holds a key to understanding the complex web of loyalties and silences that define the Brown family. Why has this piece of history been buried so deeply? The answers lie tangled in a mix of trauma, cultural expectations, and protective secrecy. In their close-knit community, marriages within interconnected families aren't unusual, but the silence surrounding this one suggests something more complicated. Janelle herself has hinted that the relationship was doomed from the start, but beyond the surface, whispers circulate. Some speculate that the quick dissolution was sparked by emotional wounds no one once aired publicly, issues tied to anger, control, or even darker family tensions. Mary's reluctance to speak about her brother's past marriage to Janelle may reveal an effort to shield painful memories or maintain family harmony, however fragile. This silence isn't just about privacy, it's about power and control. Mary's position as the family's first wife comes with influence, and managing the narrative is part of that authority. The erasure of Janelle's past marriage could be an act of quiet dominance, a way to keep certain truths locked away to preserve appearances and internal hierarchies. Meanwhile, Cody's role in this dynamic is crucial. His shifting affections and alliances among the wives often mirror these unspoken tensions, revealing cracks that are more than just personal, they're systemic. Beneath the surface of smiles and scripted reality lies a story of fractured trust and hidden wounds. This secret marriage is a window into the deeper fractures that have long threatened to unravel the Brown family's carefully constructed facade. When Christine asked the question that would soon echo through fan circles, what does the nanny do? She wasn't just voicing frustration over childcare. She was exposing a fracture that shattered the illusion of fairness the family had painstakingly crafted. For years, viewers had been told that all the wives were treated equally, that Cody divided his time and attention with care and respect. But behind the scenes, a glaring hypocrisy festered, and Christine's simple question peeled back the curtain. During the height of the COVID pandemic, strict safety measures were enforced, isolating family members and restricting contact. Yet, while Janelle and Christine were denied visits from Cody due to alleged safety concerns, Robin's nanny freely came and went, crossing invisible lines without consequence. This wasn't just about who could be in the house. It was a glaring double standard that laid bare the true hierarchy. Robin, the favored wife, received privileges that the others were forbidden. And Cody, who preached unity and fairness on camera, was actively enforcing division in private. The emotional weight of this revelation was staggering. Christine's voice cracked as she described the unfairness, her words cutting through the polished facade. Fans watched, horrified, as the facade crumbled, a family purportedly bonded by love, instead ruled by favoritism and manipulation. The nanny became a symbol of the deeper neglect Christine and Janelle endured, a physical reminder that while Robin's household was protected, theirs were left isolated and disregarded. This moment crystallized the collapse of the Brown family's narrative. The contrast between public unity and private favoritism became undeniable. Cody's refusal to visit Christine and Janelle, citing safety, while welcoming a nanny into Robin's home, was more than a logistical contradiction. It was an emotional betrayal that pierced to the core of family trust. It revealed a man wielding rules not for protection but for control, choosing who deserved his presence and who didn't. Fans were left with a devastating question hanging in the air. If the rules meant to protect were selectively enforced, what else was being manipulated? Christine's innocent question unlocked a cascade of truths, shattering the polished image forever and leaving viewers desperate to understand what other lies lay beneath the surface. Cody's role as a father often looked impressive from afar. There he was, moving through the motions, present in body if not in spirit. But scratch beneath the surface, and the illusion crumbled fast. His parenting was less about connection and more about performance, a show designed to convince everyone he was deeply involved, while quietly passing the emotional labor onto others. Truly, one of his youngest children became a silent victim of this neglect, left to navigate the complexities of childhood without the warmth or guidance a father should provide. Behind closed doors, much of the day-to-day care fell to older siblings like Logan, who stepped up to fill the gaps left by Cody's absence. It wasn't just about childcare, it was about a fundamental emotional void. Cody's presence was a hollow shell, a father in name but not in nurture. The small moments made it painfully clear. A flower box that Christine built effortlessly once she took charge. A picture that took Cody hours to hang because his attention was scattered. Stairs climbed endlessly, not in purposeful effort but as a metaphor for the distance he put between himself and real parenting. This wasn't neglect born from lack of love, it was a pattern of emotional withdrawal, of choosing convenience over commitment. Cody's brand of fatherhood was theater, a set of carefully curated appearances masking a deeper absence. The kids were there, the house was full, but the heart of the family was missing. The harder anyone looked, the more obvious it became that Cody was an actor playing a role, rather than a father truly engaged in his children's lives. This disconnect shaped much of the family's dysfunction. When a father is physically present but emotionally distant, it leaves wounds that don't heal with scripted apologies or staged family dinners. Cody's neglect wasn't just a failure of parenting, it was a symptom of a larger collapse, one that echoed through every relationship he touched. Christine's decision to pack Cody's belongings and move them to the garage wasn't just an act of defiance, it was a declaration of freedom. For years, she had held the family together with quiet resilience, swallowing her pain, sacrificing her needs, all while pretending that everything was fine. But that moment marked a turning point. No longer would she endure emotional neglect and manipulation disguised as plural marriage. She wasn't just leaving a husband, she was reclaiming herself. The boxes piled in the garage weren't just possessions. They were symbols of a woman finally breaking free from a life that had slowly suffocated her spirit. Contrast that with Mary, whose story is one of heartbreaking stagnation. Unlike Christine's bold exit, Mary remains trapped, frozen in a web of hope, trauma, and loyalty that binds her to a family that no longer supports her. Her past is scarred by deep wounds, from public humiliations like the infamous catfishing incident to the complicated maternal ties that keep her anchored in place. Mary's identity is intertwined with the family's legacy, and despite the growing emotional void, she clings to the fragile belief that things might change, that Cody will come back to her. This juxtaposition forms the emotional heart of the Brown family saga, Christine's empowered liberation versus Mary's immobilizing despair. One chooses agency and self-respect, the other endures silence and submission. It's a study in contrasts: freedom versus prison, hope versus resignation. And it begs the haunting question fans can't stop asking: will Mary ever find the strength to leave, or is she destined to remain a prisoner of her own loyalty? Christine's departure sends shockwaves through the family, exposing not only cracks in the relationships but the deeper fractures caused by trauma and neglect. Her courage highlights what many saw but few acknowledged, that staying silent only prolongs the pain. Meanwhile, Mary's story is a painful reminder of how emotional chains can be just as binding as physical ones, and how sometimes the hardest battles are fought within. Robin's story is a masterclass in contradiction: a woman who wears vulnerability like armor while quietly steering the family's financial and emotional currents. On screen, she often appears the innocent victim, tears welling in her eyes as she navigates conflicts and loss. Yet behind that carefully crafted persona lies a strategic silence, a calculated ability to benefit from the very chaos she sometimes seems overwhelmed by. It's a delicate balance between emotional confusion and sharp control, one that has long fueled insider resentment. Financially, Robin wields significant power, a fact underscored by the family's credit card, debt drama, and her control over shared equity. While other wives struggled to keep their homes afloat, Robin's grip on the family's resources grew stronger, allowing her to consolidate influence in ways that felt like betrayal to those who'd contributed to the family's foundation. This economic dominance contrasts sharply with the image of vulnerability she projects on camera, masking a woman who knows exactly how to protect and expand her position. Robin fits the archetype of the stage wife, performing emotional openness while managing the backstage power plays. Her demeanor often disarms, inviting sympathy and deflecting criticism. Yet, this performance is part of a larger pattern of manipulation, where appearing helpless opens doors and shields her from accountability. The other wives have long sensed this duality, fueling quiet tensions and unspoken rivalries beneath the surface. This stark contrast between debt and authority, vulnerability and control makes Robin a complicated figure to love or loathe. Her story reveals how power can be disguised in tears and how survival in a fractured family often depends on mastering the art of performance. For viewers, understanding Robin means recognizing that in this family, nothing is quite what it seems and every tear may conceal a carefully guarded truth. The story the show told was always a carefully constructed lie that Cody's love was equal, his time fairly divided, and the family united in harmony. But beneath the polished scenes and scripted smiles, a harsher truth took root. Favoritism ruled, mismanagement festered, and the myth of plural unity crumbled under its own weight. What viewers witnessed wasn't a family bound by mutual respect, but a fragile performance designed to mask deep divisions. Cody's inability or unwillingness to balance the needs of four wives revealed a fundamental betrayal, not just of them, but of the religious and cultural ideals he claimed to uphold. The promises of shared love and equal partnership dissolved into a fractured reality where only one wife's dreams seemed to matter. This contradiction was more than personal. It struck at the heart of the plural marriage system itself, exposing its emotional toll and inherent inequality. As the wives grew increasingly clear-eyed, their silence turned to confrontation. The cracks they had hidden became impossible to ignore. Their stories peeled back the layers of illusion, revealing how the carefully choreographed unity was just that, a script written to keep appearances while lives quietly unraveled. In the end, the Brown family's narrative is a cautionary tale of cultural disillusionment, where faith in an ideal collides with the messy, painful realities of human emotion. 4 wives, yes, but only one dream fulfilled. And that lie, more than anything else, shattered the family from within. Christine's departure wasn't a sudden escape, it was the culmination of years spent quietly building strength and preparing for a new life. Her freedom was strategic, born from hard truths and fierce determination. She didn't break under the weight of betrayal. She rose above it, setting a powerful example for the younger generation watching closely. These women who left weren't victims, they were survivors awakened to a reality they refused to accept any longer. The legacy they leave is one of quiet defiance, a victory not marked by loud proclamations, but by reclaiming control over their own lives. Their stories challenge us to look beyond the surface, to question the narratives we accept, and to recognize the courage it takes to walk away from the familiar into uncertainty. Now, as the family's facade continues to crumble, so does the illusion for viewers. We are no longer passive observers but participants in this unfolding story. Christine's liberation isn't just hers, it's a call to awaken, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to demand honesty and respect in all relationships. The story ends here for now, but its echoes linger. The women who escaped are rewriting their futures, and so are we. In case you want the scoop, raw gossip on Sister Wives Season 20 and what's new for 2025 gossip, remember to subscribe and hit the little bell. Don't miss any of Amin's in-depth explorations of the Brown secrets, scandals, and jaw-dropping family moments only on TLC Soapbox. Like, share, and tell us what you think about the season's hottest controversies in the comments below. Your voice counts here. Thanks for watching, and I'm Amin, delivering the truth you can't find anywhere else.